You're sitting across the table. Your partner is talking, brushing past your words and completely ignoring your reactions. You nod and smile. Inside, your stomach is tight. The truth is, you saw the warning signs months ago. The subtle dismissals, the inconsistency. You noticed every single red flag, and you chose to stay anyway. If you look closely at your past, the faces change, but the dynamic holds. Different partners and different cities, but you feel the exact same sense of being unheard. Why does this keep happening? Why do you repeatedly end up in rooms where you feel entirely alone? The repetition suggests a consistent script is being followed, one that likely predates your adult life entirely. Go back to when you were 6 or 7 years old. Imagine a house where the emotional climate could change without warning. Connection with the adults around you depended entirely on a mood you couldn't control. You learned to read the room the second you walked in. You kept quiet, stayed small, and constantly adjusted your own behavior to keep the peace. Affection was not a baseline guarantee in that house. It was currency. You had to earn it by being easy, being compliant, and fixing whatever was broken. This diagram shows nervous system adaptation. Exposed to constant emotional volatility, a child's internal set point shifts to match the environment's jagged peaks. The brain interprets high intensity as standard, locking this volatility into place as your default relationship expectation. During those formative years, your brain mapped out its definition of affection. It learned to associate anxiety, uncertainty, and constant vigilance with the feeling of connection. By the time you reached adolescence, that early mapping became your default setting. It bled straight into your peer friendships and early dating life. You became the teenager who always gave too much. The one who would over-explain a tiny mistake, fighting desperately to hold on to people who were already pulling away. Driving every apology and every favor was a quiet, familiar fear of abandonment. The prospect of losing someone triggered a subconscious alarm, forcing you to overcompensate. The emotional cost was heavy. You spent years staying in misaligned friendships and one-sided relationships far longer than any healthy boundary should have allowed. These behaviors were a survival strategy, refined over years to manage the threat of being left behind. Which brings us back to that table today. You sit there, remaining perfectly calm, minimizing your own feelings and rationalizing your partner's dismissive behavior. A nervous system trained in volatility will naturally gravitate toward environments it identifies as home, seeking the familiarity of that internal tension. The brain prioritizes predictability over comfort. It recognizes the specific architecture of this chaos and understands the precise survival skills needed to endure it. The cycle only continues until you stop reacting. You can pause, you can step back. You can choose to create physical and emotional distance instead of leaping to fix the situation. Familiar does not mean safe. Healthy affection was never supposed to feel like a state of constant confusion, and it is not something you have to exhaust yourself to earn. When this conditioning becomes visible, you can begin the work of recalibrating what your body considers a safe baseline. If this dynamic feels familiar, you don't have to explain your personal story. Just leave a comment below saying, "I see it now." Follow Behavioral Echoes for more insights into human behavior. Because behavior is a form of communication, it does not disappear, it evolves.